There, you're up. So, I don't think the gentleman up here needs any introductions. Most of us know him, but I would.
I don't know. If my kids were here, they wouldn't know who I was.
Okay, but anyways, let's welcome Cliff Kraf about the research he's going to present to you this morning, and we'll get started.
Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of you know. Well, some of you know me as a fish biologist. Like, oh, Cliff works on fish, and he's worked on Adirondacks his whole life, and all he thinks about is fish, and only works on fish. Well, that is a little bit history to me. I think a lot about, as some of you do know, I think a lot about thiamine deficiency. I'm going to be talking about thiamine deficiency in fish. I can talk about this for hours. I will try to keep it to 15 minutes and say this all started at an 8th grade basketball game where my son was on the same 8th grade basketball team as Tag Begley, who's the world expert on vitamin B1, and he turned to me at halftime because he really didn't care about basketball. I actually do care about basketball, and he said, "Do you know anything about Cayuga Lake syndrome?" And I went, yeah, I like fish are dying from thiamine deficiency. And he said, well, you know, okay, I'm like the world expert on vitamin B1. And that is why I have been paying attention to it. And kind of with the spirit of New York AFS in mind, I'm going to try to focus on the New York contributions to this really amazing topic, which as I continue my career, I'm going to keep thinking about this for a long time. I mean, a lot of people to acknowledge the two highlighted, Katie Edwards and Eileen Randall, are co-authors on this publication. But my son, who was in 8th grade when I met Tag Begley, is now 38 years old. So I've been thinking about this for 20 years. It's a really complicated and mysterious topic, and I probably don't even have all the people who've provided, have helped me understand this very complicated biochemistry. And the other kind of advertisement for this topic is, I think a lot of you have this sense that, like, not just the world of fisheries doesn't need another management problem, but I'm gonna portray this much broader. This isn't just a fish management problem, thiamine deficiency in fish. And you know, the world doesn't need another problem. So, I mean, you can leave the room now if you don't want to hear about something. Something that anthropogenic. And okay, so yes, I'm a fish biologist, but I think much more broadly than just fish biology. And I think I'm looking for symmetry in nature. And so here's sort of my metaphor for this topic of thiamine deficiency in fish. It's like, okay, fish are dying from thiamine deficiency. This is my backyard. Something happened there. You know, I'm walking my dog. It's like, ooh. And you kind of get closer. It's like, wow, what was going on there? And then you kind of go, oh, okay. Like some raptor found some, bird and like ripped it apart, or maybe it was some mammal. And so some of you here may have heard about fish thiamine deficiency and think you know about fish thiamine deficiency, and think, oh, these people, like Jacques isn't here because he's got a student who's working on it, but there's a lot of people who've been working on thiamine deficiency in fish, and we're getting closer to understanding, but the reason I like fostering the success of young people who are working on this subject is it's so complicated, it's going to take us a long time to get complete understanding. This is kind of my standard thing, the Great Victorian Exploring Expedition crossing Australia. Back in the 1860s, they were going from the southern end of Australia to the northern end of Australia. And the explorers, Burke and Wills, they made it to oh my God, the Brits have crossed Australia and they mapped it out. On the way back, a scary story happened to them, something really bad. And this is from the diary. This is a picture illustrating these British explorers. On their way back from the north end of Australia, they died of this mysterious. Oh wait, where's my animation? Okay, they died of thiamine deficiency. There was supposed to be a quote on there. As they were dying, the British explorers, they were writing this nardoo. They were eating nardoo. They ran out of food. Nardoo is this. It has a thiaminase 1 enzyme. It's a fern. That's what they were eating. They got sick, and the natives in the last slide are going, "Oh, you dumb European explorers! Don't you know you're supposed to cook the nardoo before you eat it? Because otherwise you're going to die." Anyway, there you go. So that's the natives discovering their body. And thiamine, vitamin B1 was usually I say, how many of you took your vitamins this morning? Right. You take B vitamins? I mean, this is like, yeah. Okay, I'm not telling you shouldn't take B vitamins. It's a good thing. But eventually, to the end, I'm going to tell you something about the human impacts of human consumption of vitamins. Okay, so this was a hot scientific topic, proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences in the 1940s, the pyrimidine analog of thiamine, the growth of fungi, and here, a thiamine deficiency of foxes. This is PNAS, Science and Nature, in the 1940s. I think one of these, this one is the secondary induced thiamine deficiency in mink. That's in the 1960s. So this was like a hot topic. And for, in Japan, post-World War II, humans were dying of thiamine deficiency. There were other problems were going on in Japan post-World War II. That's when other Japanese scientists discovered that there was a thiamine-degrading enzyme in bacteria. And yes, this was also a hot topic in aquatic ecology in the 1940s. G. Evelyn Hutchinson, I mean, he's like the god, the founder of limnology. This is a paper in the 1940s in initiating a study of the accessory organic compounds in lake waters. An examination of thiamine and biotin, vitamin B6 concentrations was therefore considered to be a convenient point of departure. Unfortunately, pressure of other more urgent work and the difficulty of transportation, World War II, had necessitated the curtailment of this program at an early stage, but a few results. Okay. So G. Evelyn Hutchinson had this paper in the 1940s says, hey, wow, thiamine's really kind of interesting. And it stopped for like 40 years until fish started dying of thiamine deficiency. The basic framework here is, yes, vitamins are good for you. I'm not trying to tell you you shouldn't be taking B vitamins, although I will talk about probably one of the consequences of that. And in the interest of time, since the internet, I'm going to play this commercial from the 1960s, because this is a Chalks commercial. If you have to be as old as me. This is only 1 minute. Right? Everybody has a talking horse. Because Father's not making good food to make them grow. There you go. That was my childhood. Right? Take your vitamins. You'll be a healthier person. Yeah. Okay, vitamin B1. Katie Edwards is going to follow me. Katie Edwards is somewhere in the room. There's Katie. I took biochemistry close to 50 years ago. Vitamin B1 is really complicated. I don't remember anything about the pentose phosphate pathway. I'm sure everybody here knows the citric acid cycle because you all memorized it in high school. Like my wife says, well, I mean, I had my students memorize it. That doesn't mean you know anything about it. The enzymes highlighted in blue here are, they depend on thiamine, vitamin B1. I'm going to use that term interchangeably. Thiamine is vitamin B1. They depend on vitamin B1 as a cofactor. Which means, okay, but this is the Fisheries Conference. We were supposed to be talking about fish. Caillou Lake Syndrome, Jeff Fisher, who I actually met in Seattle a couple of years ago, in the mid-1990s said, oh, Atlantic salmon are dying of thiamine deficiency in Cayuga Lake. Some scientists, a number of people who, I don't think there's anybody here in this room, but these are folks I talked, shortly after that, people in a federal lab in Ann Arbor, Michigan, discovered that these are lake trout that have early mortality-like syndromes by anti-thiamine compounds, and if you add thiamine, the fish just sort of, oh, I'm fine, I'm happy. Vitamin deficiency is very common in I'll call it nature, in animal husbandry. Again, the literature back in the 1940s, chickens are dying of thiamine deficiency. Sheep die of thiamine deficiency. Usually I tell the story, those are sheep in our backyard, and you know the sheep's laying on its back, and it's the ambulatory vet comes from Cornell and says, well, he either has one of these 4 horrible diseases, or we'll just give it a shot of vitamin B1, and the sheep within 15 minutes is jumping up around the pasture and is very happy. Thiamine deficiency in wildlife is very prevalent. I mean, again, this is like only a partial list. I mean, this is, you talk to people in the vet school, they say, yeah, I mean, animals die of thiamine deficiency. That's kind of what happens. And that's what sort of happened in the fisheries world. To bring it even larger, there was this horizon scan. 2018 said this is the most, this is an under-examined wildlife population declines from vitamin B1 deficiency. If that would lead to more money, I would be very happy for that to happen. Okay, so the standard story, thiaminase. There's 2 kinds of thiaminase, but anyway, thiaminase 1 degrades thiamine, and you get thiamine deficiency, and I have some pictures of some organisms where we think this is going on. So the question is what is the function of thiaminase? This is somebody who studies the enzyme at the University of Florida who, when I was asking him about it, he said an enzyme is only as specific as the last substrate you tried it on. What I'm going to tell you is thiaminase isn't in organisms on Earth to degrade thiamine. That is not its purpose. Thiamine probably fosters pathogenicity of organisms, and so I'm going to give a couple quick anecdotes. And these are experiments done by a PhD student of mine, Jesse Lepak, who now works for the Colorado Parks and Wildlife Department. We didn't understand at the time. We thought if we were going to stress alewives in ponds by exposing them to cold temperatures, when they were stressed, because alewives have a lot of thiaminase 1 and the predators eat them when they're thiamine deficient, we thought, oh, if we stress alewives, I know 5 minutes. I'll talk fast. If we stress alewives, wow, when they're stressed, they're going to produce a lot of thiaminase 1, because thiaminase 1 is bad, right? Well, this is 20 years ago. We stressed alewives, it's like, no, nothing happened, even if they were cold. The thiaminase levels were greater in fish in better condition. That was a hint. Dale Honeyfeld, a wonderful colleague who is now retired from the Wellsboro Federal Lab. Jesse did an experiment in his lab. We're going to stress alewives with low salinity, and we're going to starve them. So when we stress them, aha, that'll lead them to have high levels of thiaminase, because thiaminase is bad. No, these are like the fish with the highest thiaminase levels, and this is a complicated story. We're like the fattest and happiest alewives you've ever seen in your life. I mean, these things were like footballs. So, I mean, it's like crazy. And I only recently, so I call this the thiaminase Pandora box. There's some weird stuff going on here. It involves a lot of complicated biochemistry. It probably involves fatty acids. I'm going to tell you a little more about the thiaminase Pandora's box, and then I'll be done. You ever heard of? I bet nobody in this room has ever heard of post-infectious hydrocephalus. And that's good, because it's such a horrible disease in East Africa. It's infants having serious brain deformities. There's a group at Yale Medical School and University of Pennsylvania Medical School have been contacting me because I know a lot about Pentobacillus thymnolyticus. They think Pentabacillus simolyticus, this little benign bacteria that we work in the lab because it's not harmful, because it's the cause of this brain malfunction. The pathogenicity of these thymine-degrading enzymes is so common if you start looking more broadly beyond the fisheries world. Rhodococcus, it's a soybean pathogen. Oh, come on, move. Botulism, Clostridium botulinum has a thiaminase 1. Melioidosis, it's another disease you don't want to know about in Southeast Asia. Why thiamine? What's going on with thiamine? Thiamine is one of the earliest compounds that was present on the face of the earth. There's been a lot of selection pressure. It's very unstable. It breaks down very easily. Thiaminase 1 is an enzyme that salvages thiamine for subsequent utilization. And again, this is a very complicated story I don't have time to talk about. I'll end by saying that humans produce and consume a lot of vitamin B1. Who knew that people measure 2 minutes? I know. Measure international trade in vitamin B1. This is international trade in vitamin B1 back in 1990 was somewhere around 3,000 metric tons. In 2024, it's a lot. We produce a lot of vitamin B1. People take a lot of vitamin B1. We feed it to animals because it's good for you. It's a water-soluble molecule. All the vitamins that you take, none of you are vitamin B1 deficient. All the vitamins that you take, you excrete them out. They end up in sewage treatment plants. They end up in aquatic ecosystems. That's as far as I go. I understand when you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail, okay? So there's complexity to all these deficiencies. To bring it back to the fish world, if you paid attention to newspapers, Pacific salmon are dying now of thiamine deficiency. To bring it back to the state of New York, thiamine deficiency has been occurring in the Baltic Sea for 30 years. It's occurred in the Great Lakes. We first recognized it in Cayuga Lake. It now is occurring in the Pacific Ocean in fisheries. And my last slide is just to say, it started here. The recognition, Jacques now standing in the room. There are some people in the Baltic, in Scandinavia, who about the same time. But look, it really was impressive that a lot of the early work and the ongoing work is still occurring in the state of New York because of people like Jacques Richard and Katie Edwards and many of our colleagues in the federal government. Are we going to know what's going on? No. And this is one of my favorite thiaminase-producing microbes, Pentabacillus dendriformis. And I am out of time.
Wrap it up.